So welcome to the Your Desired Success Foundation Mastermind, all around paying it forward with the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would have done unto you. Now, when we look here at the author of the world famous book of success, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill said, the power of the mastermind, it is the principle through which you may borrow and use the education, the experience, and the influence, and perhaps even the capital of other people in carrying out your own plans in life. It is the principle through which you can accomplish in 1 year more than you could accomplish without it in a lifetime if you depended entirely on your own efforts for success. So, Carly, if you'd like to start us off, please.
Yes. The purpose of the mastermind is to share our value and connect with like-minded people in order to create wealth in all areas of our lives.
We are here to inspire and challenge each other to reach and exceed goals.
Each member is committed to their own success as well as the success of every member of the group.
We are committed to meeting in person or virtually for 1 hour every week.
We are present. There is no multitasking or distractions during the meetings.
We are collaborative and we listen without interrupting, lecturing, or judging.
We celebrate each other's success without jealousy.
We are honest and participate by giving thoughtful feedback.
We are open and listen to different perspectives without being defensive or offering excuses.
We trust fellow members enough to share fully.
We are focused, but we also think it's important to have fun during meetings.
We are real and authentic. This is a no BS zone.
We allow ourselves to become completely aligned with each other and the high forces, one mind, one soul, and one love.
Beautiful. Thank you for setting the foundation of the call, ladies. As always, it's a very powerful time in the call of setting that foundation so we're all aware, and those people who choose to watch as well. So, hey, Amber, great to see you on, Yvonne as well, who've jumped on the Facebook Live and commenting there. So we look forward to receiving your value as well. Now, the topic for today is imagination, the fifth step to riches. Carly and I and Linda, the lovely Linda, we had a brief conversation. Well, we actually had an in-depth conversation around many aspects of imagination, but certainly what we're going to do tonight is dive deeper into it. So a lot of the stuff I'm going to be referring to is based on the book Think and Grow Rich. And what we actually did on one of our other masterminds that Carly was on was we broke down the 13 principles that are taught. Most people hear or read that word there, rich, and they instantly think of what?
Money.
Money, money, money. Yes, exactly. But can we be rich in life? You know, this experience right now, and I know Kate, for instance, she loves going out and being in nature. This experience right now is rich. It's rich to me. It's far more than money. Money, that paper stuff, and I'm grateful for it because it's helped by the caravan, it's helped the car, it's helped by the fuel and the travel girls around. But you know what? Walking in nature that costs absolutely nothing fills my cup and helps me feel rich in life. So the angle of this around the 13 principles that are taught in here is one of the areas we're going to focus on imagination now. When we think about imagination, and we're surrounded by certain human beings, I'm going to give it away, certain human beings who are the best. What kind of human beings, trying to not give it away, what kind of human beings are the best at imagination?
Elon Musk.
Children.
Yes, imagine. Yes, well, I know vision and what you mean there, Carly, but children, we all know that children can literally get together and start playing. They can imagine, you can walk in and they're playing with dolls or figurines, and they're creating a whole scenario in their head that in their head is real. And as we grow older, what ends up happening? We're told to start growing up. act your age, not your shoe size. All these different things that detach us from imagination, from that beautiful creative state that we have within us as a child. And that imagination is what helps us see and think beyond what is our physical reality. So this right now, what I'm experiencing right now, I saw this beyond my physical reality. And now I'm living this, but now I've got to this point. What's the next thing that I can imagine and muster up and go and create and then strive towards achieving, but still being present in this? Now, what I'm going to read to you all is something that I found really powerful, and I'll refer back to this later on as well. But when we were talking about imagination, this is what was said. One of the most famous Napoleon Hill quotes is, "Whatever the mind of a man or woman can conceive and believe, it can achieve." So whatever the mind of a man or woman can conceive and believe, it can achieve. If you want to attract abundance, start with an idea. The ability to use your imagination to see a picture in your mind of what you want starts the process of creation. What you want can be anything, from a big house on the beach to a job that lights you up every morning. Go ahead and dream big and have complete faith that infinite intelligence will do everything possible to make and manifest your most vivid imaginings. Just think of the power of that information that was shared right then, especially one of the most famous quotes, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." So I would love to hear from you all in regards to areas of your life, whether that be one area, it can be any area of wealth to you. So that can be any of your values, it can be business, it can be money, it can be anything that's important to you. An aspect of the imagination side. Now, what I'm going to do just before you dive in that, for anyone who's struggling a bit, I'm going to read the first section of this where I've highlighted it. The impulse, the desire, is given shape, form, and action through the aid of the imaginative faculty of the mind. It has been said that men and women can create anything which they can imagine. They have discovered, imagination, this was then talking about somebody, he has discovered that his own brain is both a broadcasting and a receiving station for the vibration of thought. Has anybody ever heard that we're transmitters and receivers? You know, you've been basically thinking about someone and all of a sudden they ring you. And if they have, you ever had that experience? Yep. So we're transmitters and receivers, and we're constantly putting information out there and people are receiving it. That's why if you walk into a room and you're happy and your energy and your vibration's high, what tends to happen with some people around you?
Can I share?
Absolutely, Kate, and go for it.
Yesterday, uncanny, I was in the shops trying to figure out a present for a friend of my son's birthday. And then we went to get the card and I was like, oh, is he 7 or 8? And I couldn't remember. And I was like 7 or 8, 7 or 8. And I was asking the kids, what age was he last year? And then the friend, that's the mother of the child, messaged me saying, thank you for the happy birthday message. I can't believe he's turned 7. I just was like, wow, timing. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And that just goes to show we're transmitters and receivers. So is anything else coming up for anybody?
I
I
can't see everyone, so I don't know if anyone else has got their hand up. Well, that happened for me this morning because then you messaged me. And so it was like, oh my God, it's meant to be, because I really wanted to send you a voice message and ask an important question for me. And then you actually messaged and it was regarding the same person. And so it was like, okay, I'll ask my questions, and then you kept answering. So I'm just saying, because that was last night, and then this morning you messaged me like early, and that yeah. Thank you for answering.
Are you referring to Martin? Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry, Martin knows who I'm referring to, but no one else might.
Oh, good. Because we messaged too.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. So let's go back to that quote. What the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. Okay, so when and where in your life have you conceived an idea, believed in it, and achieved it?
I have one with money where I really wanted to go to India, and I just put it out to the universe that if you pay for half, I'll go if I'm meant to be. And within that week, my partner won half the money in a lottery ticket, and it was exactly half, and he gave it to me so I could go to India.
Yeah, wow. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yes, Mum.
Mine's not as dramatic as Kylie's.
There's no judgment. There's no judgment.
I always used to, for some reason, wanted to live in a detached house. And I used to have, when I was married to your dad, I used to have a lot of dreams about for sale signs. And I used to panic because I loved living where your dad and I lived, where Martin's dad and I lived. So I used to panic thinking, what's happening? But obviously I was manifesting this detached house. What I didn't realise was that the detached house wasn't going to be with Martin, Kevin and his dad. And that I found, and there's always a house that I look at when I go through a certain area and that Martin knows called Stray. And I always looked at that house and used to think, I'd love to live in that house. And when the lady sold it, she never put a for sale board up. And when I saw the removal van there, I ran over to her, and to be honest, I was quite rude, because in my opinion, that was my house, and she'd sold it and hadn't told me. But the beauty of it is that if Alan and I had bought that house, Alan would never have been able to pay me out to stay where he is. And isn't it funny how the universe has looked after me, giving me my lovely little detached house, but also has looked after Alan as well, keeping him secure in his place. And I often think how lovely it's turned out. So yeah, so that's my little.
Yeah, and that's being able to see the basically the blessing in the journey, as we reflect back there. There's so many blessings that come from it. And I said there in the chat, don't get on the wrong side of my mum, she's frightening. She used to be known as the scariest woman in North Road, the road we used to live on. And my friends' parents used to threaten their children that if they misbehaved, they'd send them to go and live with my mum. Yeah, so all my mates were terrified. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with me. So yeah.
I struggle to believe that. Your mum's beautiful.
And I was the angel one, and I've got problems.
I can relate. Oh, that's great.
So what about yourself, Sasha? Is anything coming up there?
Yeah, I manifested this house. Like last year, my mother got serious ill, and I had something, even though it would be a difficult situation, but I had something, I want to live next to her. And it's a town which is very hard to get a house. I lived there in my, when I grew up, I lived in this town, and I went away as far as possible. So normally it takes about 8 till 10 years to get a house here.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was here, I saw a plate in the window. It says, "We are working on your house here." So I made a picture and I made a mind movie. I don't know if you know that. It's a combination between affirmation and visualization.
Yeah.
So I made movies and I asked the workers if I could film in the house. So yeah, and I saw it. We sat when the workers were gone. We sat in the backyard. We took a chair with us and sat there. And I told everyone there here. They must have think I'm crazy, but I told them that this will be my house. And I was meeting with the neighbors, and I said I'm your new neighbor and stuff like that. And but I was definitely sure that this was my house. And yeah, everything administration. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. I had it in a week, and it appeared that my previous house, I could, yeah, the years there were counting in this city. So I could, yeah, I was on number 3, on the list when I applied, and yeah, I visualized constantly. It was like a full-time business that week for me, and I saw myself going from 3 to 2 and from 2 to 1. And after I did the Joe Dispenza meditations. I don't know if you know them, but I did them, and yeah, instantly after the meditation, when I definitely visualized it, I was on 2. I checked on the internet and I was on 2, and yeah, I think 2 days later I did the same, and then I went from 2 to 1. So it's very funny. Yeah, I don't know why I'm not doing this all the time, but I know it works, definitely.
Yeah.
So it's very cool.
That's so good, and that's such a powerful one. And hi Tony as well. You really were activating the law of attraction there as well.
Yeah.
Which was so beautiful. And also, I believe the law of sacrifice, by putting yourself in that position and sacrificing all the time you had to say, this is what's important to me and I'm going to be here. I think it was absolutely brilliant and beautiful. But I also know what you mean in regards to, oh, this sunset's incredible. I don't think it's going to do it any justice, but I'm going to try and share it with you. So,
oh wow.
Yeah. So, but it just goes to show the power of, we know that it can happen, and it just takes that desire and that aligned action to make it happen, and that commitment, and in some cases a sacrifice that's aligned for it to come to fruition. So thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful, Sasha.
Thanks, Martin.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it's as simple as just asking the universe, and then getting out of the road, like not attached. Because when I asked for the money for India, I didn't continue a vision about it. I had no idea that within a week I'd have the money. Like, I just asked the universe and left it at that. I didn't, but I'd already desired to go there. Then I asked, and then I just left it at that, and then it just created and I received. And it came from someone else. It's not like I had to go and work for it.
Yeah,
it came through someone else.
Beautiful. And just to bring Tony up to speed, because he's going to be doing burpees in a second for coming in late, is that we're talking about imagination, you know, and from Napoleon's book. So the question I had asked was there a time in your life when you can go back and go, you had an imagination? So we were talking about the famous quote of, if you can, if we can conceive it and believe it, we can achieve it. So was there a time when you conceived an idea, you believed in it, and you achieved it? Was what we were really talking around. So either you can jump in or somebody else can continue. That's fine. But even with myself, like this whole thing, and I remember saying, so I I worked in the mines. I got a job in the mines, and I really wanted to go and work in the mines as a health coach. And I was, you know, I was on a 6-figure income there, and I was doing a cruisy job, a job that I enjoyed and I loved. And me being the way I was and the way I am, it was about the residents and supporting them and being a part and building the relationships. And that's just the way that I am. And that obviously, when somebody is just there to earn some money and trying to do as little as possible, doesn't go down too well when you're kind of shining and showing up. So I remember saying that, do you know what, if I earned just like 30K a year and was able to be at home and be happy, that would suffice me. And as I continued to basically, you know, I mean, I went through the journey of the depression and so on, but then I met Tony not long after at a business network meeting, and then and I was doing the health stuff back in Perth and giving away a lot for free and just doing things that I enjoyed and building those relationships and so on, even though I was a Man United fan. And we had these great experiences. And what happened was, when in 2015, I said to myself, the common question had been, where are you going to be in 5 years? And what I had found up until that point was I had constantly been saying what I felt society wanted me to say that was cool, and not what fitted in with me opening the door inward and feeling what was right for me. So as a youngster, as a young teenager, I wanted a Lamborghini. I just was like, wow, Lamborghini. If you have a Lamborghini, you've made it. And, you know, everything's fantastic. And it's got to be lime green and, you know, and these things. Now, I said to myself, in 5 years' time, I'm going to be retired. And the question was, well, what does retirement look like? Because I don't like doing nothing. But what it meant for me was I'd be able to make my own decisions on a daily basis. And if I needed to fly back to England, or I desired to fly back to England to see family for whatever reason, I didn't have to think about money. I didn't have to think about, oh, I need to let my boss know that I need to leave. Oh, what am I going to do about those jobs that I've got lined up with those people? I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, that's serving me. That's what retirement meant for me. And that's when the plan started. So I conceived an idea. I believed that I could achieve it when I turned 40, and I took the aligned action to make that happen. So right now, don't get me wrong, it never looked like a caravan in the beginning. And this is where I had heard, let go, create the vision, but let go of what happens along the journey, because it's going to shift. And through that journey, I shifted, I evolved, I became more than I was through the relationships that not only I had, but the new relationships that I created, to the point where I shifted and went, I don't want a Lamborghini when I'm 40. I want to actually live life on the road and travel around this beautiful country and connect with the indigenous and learn from their ways, as in the connection with one, how there's no separation. That's what I want to do. And then with Beth and I being together, she wanted to do the same, which then meant I had support. So we became stronger, and we've been able to work together to create this to become not only a reality for our lives to enjoy, but also to be able to work as well and continue with the businesses. Because most people would say, I haven't got enough money to go. I invested a lot of money into something that didn't work, and it basically broke me a couple of years ago. Do you know what? Never mind. I was willing to take that step. Didn't work out, but it didn't work out based on what we expected the result to be. But the person I became, what I learned has helped me deliver what I've delivered today, that is actually financing me, supporting me, has made me create far more connections. And I didn't see that at the time. But the blessing, as my mum said, when we went back, everything happens for a reason, and it's offering a bigger reason than we can see at the time. But the idea of, I want to be free at 40, I conceived it, I believed in it, and I'm living it. And I'm no better than you or anybody else. And this isn't me blowing my own trumpet. This is just saying we can do it if we desire to do it. And then if we take the aligned action based on our values and where we want to go. Go for it, Tone.
apologies for coming in late. I thought better to turn up for half a meeting than no meeting at all. And I hadn't caught up with Martin for some time, so I look forward to seeing his ugly face occasionally, you know.
We said at the beginning, Tony, and you know the mastermind principles, no judging.
Yeah, I obviously missed a lot of the start of what you've been saying, but imagination, you know, Napoleon said imagination rules the world. I think that was one of the greatest stories I read as a child myself, and resonated with me. Was he imagined himself as about a 10-year-old thereabouts, in the playground at school, one day being the Emperor of France. Now, to start with, he was a little Corsican kid. So it's a bit like, to put it in context for you, Martin, it's like an Irishman saying he's going to be the King of England. You know, it's sort of so extreme and ridiculous that no one would ever believe it. But he repeatedly imagined that he would one day be the ruler of France. And in 1804, he actually put the crown on his own head and became Emperor of France. So when you have a big dream and you repeatedly imagine it and you speak it out loud, I think speaking it out loud has a way of particularly resonating it into existence, you know, especially when it's repeated. The more people you tell that your dream is going to come true, and the more you believe it, the more you speak it, the more you actually speak it into existence. So I had a similar thing where, not to the extent I became Emperor of Australia or anything, but I was living in Jersey in the Channel Islands, and I decided, I came over on holiday as an 11-year-old first time to Australia, and decided I want to go back there and live there when I'm grown up. And to the point where when I got my first wife, we came over on honeymoon to Australia. She wanted to go to Canada, and I wanted to bring her to Australia because I knew if I could get her to see the lifestyle and the show houses and everything, you know, where we were in Jersey, there's no way we could afford to get a house because the house prices were just crazy. They were like London prices, you know, just insane. And I thought, if we can get her out here, I'll win her over to, we need to come to Australia. And the thing was, for me to get here, I had to get a sponsor. Now, I was in retail management at the time. I was working for the Channel Islands Co-op Society in supermarkets. I was a deputy store manager in supermarkets. And I wrote to all the big retail companies here. And most of them wouldn't even give me the time of day, right? Because I didn't live here. I was an overseas resident. They didn't want to know. But Target gave me an interview the day before I was due to go back. Now, I went into that interview determined that they were going to offer me a job and that they would sponsor me into the country. So I had this meeting with the state personnel manager, right at the beginning. He said, just to be clear, I can't offer you a job from this meeting because you're an overseas resident. You know, we can't do that. I went, okay, that's fine. Let's talk. At the end of the hour-and-a-half meeting with him, he said, well, I'm really impressed with you. I think you'd fit in really well with our team. He said, look, you know, I could write you a letter that if you were able to get here, then we might be able to offer you a job. I said, that's really great. Thanks. I really appreciate that. However, if you are serious about employing me, then that's not good enough. I need you to fill in this form. And I put it in front of him. And it was a sponsorship form for sponsoring me into the country. And he went, oh, I don't know about this. I'll have to talk to the high command, you know. So he got on the phone to the wise men from the East. He said, come back this afternoon. And sure enough, he'd filled in the form because I asked, because I knew what I wanted. And I went in there pre-programmed to, I'm getting this. I believe I'm going to get this. Not only that, he then had to keep the job open for me for 18 months. It took me to get through all the red tape through Australia House, during which time I got promoted. I won a major UK award. I was fast tracking. I was the next store manager in the company there. So when I finally got the letter from Australia House saying, okay, you're clear to go to Australia, I was like, oh, do I want to go now? But it was my dream, and I'd had that dream since being a child. And I thought, I have to go, because if I don't go, I'll always wonder what if.
Yeah.
And, you know, worst case, I go, and if it doesn't work out, I can come back and, you know, take up where I left off. But that was, 35 years ago or something, and I've been here ever since. So, but it started with a dream. It started with imagination. What if I could live in Australia as a kid? And then being here on honeymoon, and like right down to the day before I was due to go back, I got the interview and I went in there going, I'm going to get this.
Wow. Great
But,
share,
yeah,
Tony.
it shows you what you can do when you're focused, and when you talk it out loud, when you tell people, this is what I'm going to do. I could give you loads more examples. It goes on, but it's always been in my, I don't know if it's because of the books that I've read over the years, but if you adopt that as a philosophy, that what really matters to you and what's really important, and you go after it, and it's for good reasons, you know, it's not evil or anything. If you intend to enhance the lives of the people around you, and for me, I wanted a better place to bring up a family. So I wanted my kids to have a future that was going to be a much better, stronger future for them. And that's why I knew Australia was the place to bring them to. And it's a decision I've never regretted. I've always loved being here. I'm very proud to be Australian. And now I've got grandchildren here as well. So there you go. Imagination. That's what it starts with.
Yeah, great.
You have to act. You have to do something about it.
Great.
You can't just wish for it.
When in Tony's share, I just wanted to add on to that, because every time I hear everyone really made a decision. And once you made a decision, you're sort of owning your decision. And then with sharing it, you're owning it a bit more until your body gets on board with your mind and your energy field. Like it's like all come into congruence. It's not just a mind concept, like the whole body engages when you own it. Yeah. So by sharing it, it's a form of owning it until you get fully aligned with your decision. But just the final decision makes you instantly aligned. When you finally fully own your decision, this is what I want, the universe already is on the way to helping you get that as soon as you've made the decision.
Yeah, that's when obviously there's that total alignment. I know that one of the things that I'd heard from Bob Proctor was in the early years when he was being told by his mentor to start talking about what he desired. It wasn't even a reality for him, and he said he felt stupid saying these things, that he was going to earn this money and he's going to become this person who's going to attract all these people and so on. But he said over the time, he fooled himself into believing it to be true. And it not only became true, it went beyond what he had even been saying. Because he says, if you say it enough times to yourself, you eventually start believing it. If you keep hearing it, you eventually start believing it, because the only thing that's stopping you from believing it is your own thoughts in that process while it's going through. But something has to give at some point, especially if you're persistent with it, which you know, Carly just messaged before and said persistence. Absolutely, Carly. I'm not sure if you're aware, you sent that privately to me, but it was persistence that Tony showed there. And even with what Sasha shared before, there was persistence in that. And I know some of you may have heard of him, Holton Buggs. So Holton Buggs was struggling in business. He's now one of the highest earners in network marketing, and you know, he's earning multiple millions each month. But he and his family used to get in the car and they used to drive to this neighborhood, and they used to sit there and stare at this house. They used to imagine driving and parking in the garage and all them getting out together and then walking into the house and going into the kitchen and talking while his wife was creating a meal. Like they literally sat there and envisioned that. And do you know what? They ended up buying that house. He had his Lamborghini and his Ferrari in there, and he was saying about all this stuff. I mean, he's very flamboyant and loves to have all the material stuff, but he was sharing that it was started with a vision, and it started with literally stepping into that vision and living in it every day. Once he got home, they all got in the car and they went and they just stared at this house. And if you've watched The Secret, which is only one of the universal laws, the law of attraction, it isn't them all. But if you watch The Secret, John Azaroff says about his son sat on a box, and they open the box and he pulls out this vision board, and he's looking at this house that's on the vision board, and he realized that he lives in the house that we put on the vision board many years ago. I was like, wow, completely forgotten about it. But that's that, having that vision and then going, well, okay, it's great to have that. What do I need to do each day that's taken me towards what I desire? Tony.
Yeah, we had the same thing with buying the house that we live in now. We've decided that we wanted to buy a house together, my third wife and I. Third and final
wife. Yeah.
Final wife. You can't hear, but just in case she watches the recording. So we went to my mortgage broker, and he laughed at me and said, "There's no way you're going to get the loan." Right. So I found this house and decided that we wanted to get it, and I was determined that we would get it. And as soon as I'd seen it, I knew this was the house that we had to have. And my wife felt the same way. And the real estate guy had done a walkthrough video, so you could actually go through the house and look around. You know, you wanted like it's taken all these different photographs, so you could sort of spin the camera around and look at every corner and every nook and cranny of the house. So she was going through every day, determining where our furniture was going to go in that house. We were imagining living in this house day after day, right? Even though we'd been told there's no way you're going to get it. And we simply set upon this course of how we figured out how we were going to do it. We offered higher than what the asking price was, so we could buy ourselves some time. And in the time it took to sell, we sold 3 apartments to be able to rearrange all the finances so that we could come in and tick all the boxes and get our finance broker to a different finance broker, by the way. The third one, actually, funnily enough, which you know, Fiona. So we were able to pull off this deal, which we had been told you've got absolutely no chance of making happen. And my attitude's always been, when people tell me you can't do that, I'm like, oh yes, I can. I go out of my way to prove that I can do it. And but here we are. We got the house. It took us from the 9th of September till we moved in just before Christmas. But in that time, we sold 3 units and did the unthinkable and managed to pull off the deal. And I still look back and go, how the hell did we do that? I don't know. But we had imagined ourselves living here, and we felt that it was right. There was something in our hearts as well that was pulling us to this area, and it's where we live. We're surrounded by nature. You know, we have kangaroos in the backyard and little quendas in the garden and all this, and it just feels like paradise. You know, you've been here, Martin. You know, it's just so
beautiful.
It's just so so chilled out and so relaxing. Perfect place to run businesses from home.
Yeah,
and you know, look after. I've got a disabled stepson that we look after, so it's a perfect sort of relaxing, quiet spot, and yet we're only half an hour into the city. But if you go with your gut feeling and your intuition, and you know that what's right is what's pulling you, then you will get obstacles, but you just have to knock them aside and keep the belief, keep the faith in what you want to do and how important it is to you and how much of a difference it's going to make to you and your family and the people around you. And, you know, it's been, for us, it's a place where we can entertain. We have our friends come and have weekend escapes, you know, away from the madness of the city, and just chill out in this quiet setting. And it's just lovely. So there you go. Again, imagination, but determination to go with it. And conversely, watch your self-talk when you start to tell yourself that you can't do something, because that can become a self-fulfilling prophecy just as easily. So pick up on that. If you catch yourself going, oh, I don't know if I really deserve that, or I'm not, if I can really pull this off. You've got to believe that you can do it and keep repeating that belief. And then you just smash it away.
Yeah, great share, Tony. Thank you. Mom, I know you put your hand up.
Yeah, it's just ironically, really, although we ended up in this house, in this detached house that I'd manifested obviously years and years ago, it is on a place that I did not want to live. And I said today, we're going to look, Martin's friend, who's an estate agent, told me about this house. And I said today, we're going to look at it, but don't get excited, we're not buying it. And he said, well, why are we looking at it? And I said, because I don't want to upset Martin's friend. So we came to look at it, and there was no lights on or anything. And we had like lighters and torches and that, and it was dark, and we looked around it, but there was something about, there was like not a presence, but there was just something. And we brought Martin the next day, and he said, yeah, Mum, it's brilliant. We brought Kevin, yeah, Mum, it's brilliant. And everybody that comes has this, like, it's like a calming effect until I start. The house has a calming effect. But like you just said, Tony, the irony is with this, we looked at hundreds of houses, but the irony is with this, it's got a double garage, and Dave and I do a lot of entertaining. So we can use the garage as our like place to party and keep the house. And without that double garage, it will never be the same. And it's weird, isn't it? I didn't want to live on this estate, but it gives us the trees. I have a brook at the bottom of the garden. It's just perfect.
Yeah, it is. It is a beautiful location, and home as well, and home. So there've been some extremely powerful shares, and you know, I always thoroughly enjoy receiving the value from each person. One of the things that when we were talking around imagination, and I mentioned earlier on, we had a Gold Star Mastermind. So the people who are Gold Stars in the community, we got together and we basically broke down the 13 principles and then looked at the physical tools in Noble Goldman that we have access to. And around imagination, I really want, because you're all members in there, especially some of you who are free members, we then looked at what are the physical tools that we have access to that is aligned with imagination. And I really want to just amplify this for you. The first one is the abundance game, because that's where you're stepping in and you're creating your life purpose. You're creating your goals, your affirmations, your milestones. All of that requires imagination. All of that requires that initial foundation of your imagination. And then the ability to go in there and track it all and see. So I know at 9 o'clock each night, I get a notification on my phone to remind me to check into the abundance game. So that reminds me to then go in. And as I'm scrolling through, so I know for a fact, like I've just facilitated this call. That's one of my goals, to facilitate a call a week and to be present on a call a week, whether that be with Mark, whether that be somebody else's call. So my goals for Mastermind is to be on them. Now, I facilitated a call this morning. I've just done this one, and then I'm doing the Gold Star leadership call after this in half an hour. Now, I'll go in and I'll log that, but I'll also log the fact that I've been working all day on my business stuff to plug into Noble Goldman. And then I'm able to look, and we went for a walk this morning with the dogs. So all these things that are like me getting out and being in nature and being present and then doing my work and doing these things in connection with people. Not only am I logging and tracking that, I'm also seeing my other goals, which is helping give me that gentle poke. Hey, what about watching the sunset? Have you watched the sunset yet? It's already Thursday. Better get out and watch a sunset. One of my other goals, watch a sunrise. Get on my bike and go for a cycle. Spend quality time with Beth. Like these things that I'm constantly seeing every day are gentle reminders, because we can all easily get busy rather than productive. You know, I shared this on a call this morning. When people tell me they're busy, I know for a fact they're doing figure eights, because it's about being productive. Because when we're aligned and we're taking aligned action, we don't feel like we're being busy. We feel like we're actually achieving rather than in a state of stress and overwhelm. The other thing that we brought up then was around the 30-day quests. So remember, the 30-day quests are in there to help with our imagination. Also, the multiple streams of income, the ability to imagine how we'd be able to financially support what we desire. Now, I shared on another call that I think it was on the Gold Star call today. No, it was on the free membership call with Mark today, that one of our members in the community Patricia Lynn Stokes, she's absolutely beautiful. When I first connected with Patricia, she told me exactly what she wanted to earn. She then told me exactly how it was going to be received and leveraged. And 75% of what she was going to earn was given away. It was creating the foundation. She's got a women's refuge called Dawn House in Canada, where they bring in and look after women who have gone through domestic abuse, physical abuse, and sexual abuse, and so on, and help them get back on their feet. She comes from a place of giving. She says, I only need this amount, Martin, to support me and my family. The rest I'm going to give. So she is able to receive that. So her, when she saw the MSIs, it was another way of helping her fund the greater good she desires to do in the world. So she was able to imagine on a bigger scale. And the masterminds, these calls, coming together and us sharing our different experiences is helping us grow and gain a better understanding, a bigger belief than maybe talking to a family member or friend and they're like, what have you smoked? Like that's what the reaction from some people. And yet you'll come over here with people you've never maybe even met before, and they're like, absolutely, Kate, go for it. Oh, I'm thriving right now. I can't wait to see what you achieve. And you're like, how can this person who I've never physically met, never given a cuddle to, have my back and be there in my corner cheering for me when my own close family and friends are like, are you in a cult?
I can relate.
It's real.
Yeah. Have you taken your medication?
Yeah. No, it's just that you can't take Lemon seriously. And these are the reasons why, and I say this to everybody, these are the reasons why I tune in, why I log in, why I get present when I'm in there, because I'm talking about my life. And there is nothing more important than my life and what I choose to do with it whilst I'm here on this earth. Because what I choose to do now is what I'm going to leave behind for the greater good of humanity. Not that there's no way my mother went through those hours of pain and those 9 months of me being created, and then the nurturing process for me to go and waste my life. There's no way. And appreciating and being grateful for that, what my mother chose to go through, and my father in regards to the support and so on. And then the people I've met like yourselves to get to this place and go, what good are you doing in the world? What are you going to leave behind? How are people going to remember you when you pass? Are you going to be remembered? Is there going to be a tear shed because of what you chose to do and chose to give? Or are people going to go, I'm glad that bugger went? Oh,
You've already made a mark on me and my family. Thank you.
You're welcome, Kate. But at the same time, as grateful as I am for that, and I truly am grateful, the biggest lesson and message here that I always like to give back is never underestimate your decision to step forward and reach out and connect. Because without that connection from your side, I would never have been given the opportunity to provide whatever level of value I have to you, which has helped me grow through the process and you grow. So there always has to be gratitude on both sides. So with that, we've just gone a little bit over time, but thank you so much. And the Olympic runners just arrived back. I vote you. Thank you, Kate. Very kind. I vote Tony. I think Tony should be, what was it, Prime Minister of Australia, you were saying earlier on as a child. So I vote Tony. It'll definitely be a lot more colourful. Let's put it that way if Tony was in charge. So hopefully not with Man United scarves and shirts. But this has been an extremely empowering conversation, and one that I knew that doing this topic again on a bigger scale was going to be basically, certainly for Carly and I, receive an even greater amount of value. So thank you, each and every one of you, for for choosing to show up and share your value, and for those people who have been watching the live and choose to watch the replay, because this is what it's about. The more connection we have and the growth is going to take place. So access those tools that you've all got the availability to. I look forward to hearing what you're receiving as you grow with them and grow through them. And if anybody's got anything they just want to cover before we wrap up, or share any level of feedback, it's all good.
Yeah, I'll just add that the right people come into your life at the right time for the right reasons, and sometimes you don't know what that is. With hindsight later on, you'll look back and go, now you'll be able to connect the dots backwards, but go with that flow because the people are there for the right reason.
Yeah, so true, Tony. So true. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you, Martin, because seriously, you're so inspiring and honest, and oh my God, like it's people like you that I have always searched for because without people like you, I wouldn't be on the earth.
Wow. Thank you, Carly. That's beautiful. I really appreciate that.
I just want to say thank you to all of you. I am so grateful to be alive today, to have met you all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, can I just add something? Because I've known Martin a few years now. And I have to say, I'm so proud of you, Martin, because you have grown so much in the last few years. When I met Martin, he was in the depths of going through turmoil. He was going through a really tough time, and he kept his faith in himself, and he kept positive, and he kept inspiring and putting other people first. So going out doing those fitness training sessions and so on, even when you're having arguments with the insurance company and all that at the time, you inspired so many people even back then. So good on you. Keep going.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. And it's it's funny actually how you mentioned earlier around people come in your life for a reason. Tony and I had lost communication, not through anything other than just going in different paths, and it was great to see Tony come back and be a part of this and bring so much more value, as each and every one of you do. But as Tony said, he was around right from that moment of me coming out of the mental hospital and so on. So it's looking back, I say this not from a place of ego, but from a place of love to self, that I'm proud as well of myself and who I've become and what I've chosen to do. And the most beautiful thing about this is that it feels so fulfilling and a life of worth right now. And it's only going to get better with the more and more people I connect with. So yeah, this time each week is spent filling my cup, not only with what I choose to give, but what I also choose to receive from each of it and every one of you. So thank you to you all, and go and enjoy the rest of your evening, day, wherever you are in the world. And those of us who are gold stars, we're on in 20 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.